Italian job?
Feeling good, Tommy boy. How are you, my friend?
Man, it's to quote you, it's been a week of Mondays, but any day north of topsoil is a gift. So I'm fine. How about you, my
Good.
friend?
Good. I'm looking forward to hopping in a car tomorrow and driving down to the Sandlot Jacks. I'm going to tell you, there's a little bit of royalty in the car, and I'm not it. Some of the best hair in the nation is going to be in the car, including Dark Helmet, great hair,
Ooh.
Bones,
Ooh.
great hair, and then Slaughter. Doesn't have great hair, but he's a great dude. So
If he had hair, it would
royalty.
be great. If
That's
he had
right.
hair,
That's
it would
exactly
be
right.
great. I think all you're missing is beauty.
That's
And
it.
You would have a well-coiffed car heading down to Jackson. That's going to be a blast. I've been talking a little bit with Cadre DS, who is first met him at Grow Ruck 17 and had a real quick conversation behind the scenes with him. He's excited about it. I can't wait to see your guys' adventure. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will be live streaming quite a bit of it on Facebook, and there's going to be a heavy Instagram presence because that's kind of what they're using down there, all the hashtags, all that stuff. So you'll see some stuff from the nation coming through. You can live vicariously through an Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook live feed. We'll keep you abreast of the situation.
Nice. I'll be following.
Cool.
Well, that kind of is a nice segue into our topic today, because certainly you're going to get your ass kicked down in Jacksonville. But you brought to my attention something that's happening in your area. So I'm going to pass the proverbial mic to you, let you kick things off with our topic today, our stuff.
Man. So I'll tell you, I guess a quick disclaimer, we're going to say the word ass a few times in this one. So if the little ones are listening, I probably shouldn't have said that so loud. But what we're talking about today is taking place in Fort Mill, South Carolina, in the Fort region, called AssKicking April. And to talk about that today, we have a very special guest, Josh Sale, Funhouse. So Funhouse, we got to know, how did you get the name Funhouse? How long you been around F3? Who brought you out? Kind of that song and dance.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks guys for having me. This is going to be fun. I got EH'd by a guy named Orange Crush 9 years ago. This Saturday, it'll be 9 years.
Wow.
And I have worked out with him a total of 3 times, I think, in 9 years. So he got me to come out, and he's a cotter. So, but it's fine. He's a good guy. I got the name, my original name, I started right after the fort had started. I think they were in it, I don't know, 6 months or something. And they had 3 workouts, a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday workout, all at the same place. And on Tuesday, I showed up and we did a boot camp, and my last name is Sale, and they gave me the name Vintage. I guess, I don't know why, but
that's
whatever.
awful.
So on Thursday, I'll never forget this Thursday, it was a boot camp on Tuesday and a running AO on Thursday, and Frank Cicerella, Senator Tressel, had us go to those the downtown corner where the churches are.
Oh yeah, I know.
He made us go up and down that hill 1,000 times. Anyway, it was awful.
That hill's brutal. Tommy boy, you haven't seen it. It is a terrible, terrible hill. It's uphill both ways.
Yeah,
it's brutal. It's a heartbreak hill for sure.
Sure, and it was tough. So we made it back to WEP, and I was talking to somebody, and someone said, "Hey, you know, how many kids do you have?" All this other kind of stuff. I said, "Well, I have 5 kids," and they were like, "Oh man, we should have called you the factory." And I was like, "Hey, that's funny. You should say that, because before I moved to Fort Mill, I was living in Mexico, and that's where we had our 5th child, is down in Mexico, and I went to go get a vasectomy in Mexico because 5's enough." And as the doctor was doing his things down there, he said, hey, Mr. Sale, just want to let you know that I was telling him this story. I was like, the doctor said, "Hey, Mr. Sale, we're closing the factory and we're opening up the Funhouse." And that's how I got my name. So, and then they were like, "Name change," and that was it. So
that's outstanding.
Tommy boy, when I told you that he had one of the best naming stories, I meant it. Yes. I mean, that's top 5 that I've ever heard for sure.
That's worth knowing that you're at home every night playing zone defense with your M against those kids.
Well, now we're playing man to man. I got three of the boys are out of the house, so just my two little girls at home. It's so nice.
You're doing it right. Outstanding.
That's good stuff. So, Tommy boy, the reason we brought Funhouse on is to talk about this AssKicking April. So, what do you want to start? What's your first question that you have for Funhouse?
Yeah, honestly, because I didn't want to know too much about it. It's a straightforward question. What is it? And to quote Faith No More, what is it?
Yeah. Oh man, that's an old band. Jeez. High school days. AssKicking April is just I think it started out as I'm one of these guys that January 1st, I'm going to change everything. And by February 1st, I'm exactly the same guy that I was December 31st. And I was talking to my wife about this, trying to say, hey, why did I do this? Do you remember why I did this? And she said, I think you were just tired of doing the same crap and you wanted to do something tough. So basically it's I got an old one here, like it's a calendar. I make a calendar and you hit a different AO every day for the month of April, Monday through Saturday. And it really was just something to challenge me and my shield lock that I was in at the time and the guys that I work out. That's when I was living in Tigakay, a really small community where we have a clown car all over the place. And I think what it morphed into was more of, and IJ, this is when we had Lake Wiley. So yeah. We had two really separate areas, and because we were so close to everything, we got over some, but it was just a really good opportunity to meet packs that you don't see a lot or have never met before because they wouldn't come over the bridge or we wouldn't go over there. And then actually the other thing was to get a new cue every day or almost every day. And so that you could go learn something new. I'd been doing it for like 4 or 5 years. I set up a site, Golden Corral, and then I've been a site queue for a couple other places. And my queues were getting stale. I mean, you do it long enough, they get really stale. Yep. So I think it started out as like a challenge, and then it turned out to something bigger. So
it's a thing now. It's a thing. Now, has it always been in April?
Yeah, well, we have AssKicking April, and then we have Run Your Ass Off August. So August is to get prepared for the BRR.
Yep.
And Run Your Ass Off August is just the same thing. You go to a different AO, except instead of doing whatever they have planned, you go run 5-6 miles, and then you end back up at COT. It was just a way to get more miles and to do something stupid again. And we started this in 2018, and we did it 2018, 2019, and then COVID hit in 20 and 21. It was just we didn't know what to do, and it was so difficult to even post. But and then I had some stuff. I'll tell you, I lost my job, and I wasn't very all that motivated, and it was just difficult. But got back into it this year. Actually, I had Anchorman and Barry Manilow like in February. Maybe it was even January. They said something like, hey, Funhouse, are you going to bring back AssKicking April? And I think like that night or that day at work at lunchtime, I made the calendar in January. And it's been sitting in my office for 3 months waiting to do it. So yeah, it's been fun, I tell you.
So at the end of the day, in theory, by the end of April, you've hit every one of your region's AOs.
Yeah. We have 29 workouts a week. And then we have 29 workouts a week. And we have 5 every day except for Saturday. We have 4. I'm calling 6 for 6 at 6 an AO. Enough people run it. So and then we're going to end up on the last day of April is a Saturday, and we're going to have a convergence and an invergence. So it's going to be a pretty big thing. It's going to end on a nice note, I think. So, and we had to start in March. So this actually, AssKicking April number 3 is called the deluxe version, because we had to start 4 days into March so that we could get all the other workouts. So
it's a good problem to have when it comes to growth of the nation. I like it.
Yeah.
Good. So Tommy Boy, I know you can't really see the grid, the calendar that he has worked up, but every day, the day before, he will zoom in to a block on the grid and say, tomorrow we're going to be posting at insert the AO. So Funhouse, where is AssKicking April on Friday morning tomorrow?
It's at Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. That's a ruck AO. So it's not just your runs, not just your boots, but rucks. So it's going to be at the ruck AO. So what do you expect to happen tomorrow with the numbers? Do you think that there will be an increase in Chupacabra's numbers because of AssKicking April?
Yeah, I think there's an increase at every AO during AssKicking April. I think our max is 25. And at one, I don't know which one that was, but Chupacabra, we're doing the Manion WOD tomorrow. Tinsel has been slacking it out. So I don't think he's going to scare anybody away. I don't know what the number typically is at Chupacabra, but I probably it'll double. And for me, if you see, you can't see it. If you see it on Slack, I had color coordinated it. I'm a runner. So running is green. I write it in green. Boot camps are blue. And then anything that has to pick something up and put something down is in red, because that's not my forte. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've learned a lot of good lessons from it. But the guys, I tell you, the guys that follow me, I call them the Brotherhood of the Traveling Packs. They are tenacious, like every day, and bugging me and telling me, we're going to see you there. We're going to see you there. So it's really hard to sleep in. It's really hard to hit the fart sack. So.
Yeah, once you put imagery on Slack, you're basically out there. I mean,
oh yeah, and we have a super duper active Slack channels. I mean, it is insane how many channels we have and how many people are active on them. And I catch a lot of heck on it from whatever. I had one AO, I was the Q, and I was a few minutes late, and oh my gosh, I just got the
party foul.
Oh yeah.
So just to recap, so you started in April, you've grown it for great reasons because your region's growing and you got more things to choose from. You're, for lack of a better term, you're queuing it. You're putting out where to be next each evening. So where are we showing up tomorrow? Why do you think guys are doing this? What do you think the draw is, or what's the benefit even for a guy to follow you along and be a part of the Brotherhood of the Traveling what'd you call it, AOs?
The Traveling Packs.
Traveling Packs, thank you.
No, I think there's a level of camaraderie, and I mean, it's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard.
Sure.
This is the only time I ever go work out 6 days a week. I typically Fridays we have our shield lock, so I'm usually having coffee with my shield lock before I go to work. And I'm typically injured, so I have to take a day off or something. So if I get 4 workouts in a week, that's a good week for me on any typical week. So it's tough. And we all know that if you do something tough with a group of guys, you're going to bond, you're going to create relationships, and you're going to get better. So I think why guys want to follow is that even though it's tough and there's some second F, I think it's really fun. It's fun to see who's going to come out. What queue? Yeah, some queues just queue like they're going to normally queue. Other queues turn it to 11. It just depends on what they want to do. But I think it's really cool that there's 100% accountability. That people expect me to be there. I expect myself to be there. And then when I have friends that say, or have other guys that are like, hey, I'm going to be there, then I can hold them accountable. I'll ask them, hey, why didn't you come, or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, it's I think that's why. I think the why people want to do it is it's tough, it's fun, and you really get to know your packs a lot more. It's sort of it's like a really long, elongated if you ever do like a P200 or a BRR or, like a Go Ruck, which I haven't done, but when you're doing like a BRR or a P200 and you're stuck in a van with these like 3 or 7 guys, depending how big your team is, that's when you really get to know these guys. That's when this guy gets on my nerves because he does this guy, Josh does this, and that's really annoying. And but I think when you will get out of that van after a weekend of running 200 miles, you've done something with some guys that no one will ever take away from you. And I really think that this is sort of like this, but over a longer period of time, and almost just as difficult in some instances.
It has all the flavors of a CSAUP, to put it lightly.
Oh, it is completely stupid. It is. As my wife says, it is completely stupid.
That's so fun. Passes the smell test for sure.
Is there any kind of an award for a guy who gets the most workouts? Is there anything other than bragging rights? I mean, what keeps these guys motivated other than, hey, Josh, the Funhouse is expecting me to be there, and I got to make fun of his form, and he's going to make fun of my form, or we're just going to rag on each other? Is there an award or something that the guys are kind of aiming for at the end of the month?
In the past, there hasn't been, I don't remember anything. As a matter of fact, I don't think in the past we had Slack. I think we did it on Twitter. But on Slack, we haven't done anything. But Cake Boss, which is another member of the Traveling Packs, of course, he's graphing everything. And he's posting a graph of the bar chart about who's in the lead and all that other kind of stuff. I don't know. It's bragging rights. It's who can do the most, who can post the most, who can make fun of the most of someone not being able to do a pull up. That's me. But I've been working on my push-ups and my burpees. I really like those. So, but it's I think it's just to be able to say I did it. And we've got some new guys. We got this guy named Beaker who literally just posted for the first time, I want to say right at the beginning of April. And he has come to 75% of the workouts, traveled around. And for someone who's brand new to be able to say, yeah, this is something that I want to do, that's amazing. So, and then he motivates other guys that have been around for a couple of years to say, hey, yeah, I'll meet you there. So yeah, nice. I think it's really effective. I'll tell you.
So for guys across the nation who are looking to do this, you hinted a little bit about results. So I'd love to hear, kind of what I don't want to say typical, but what over the 3 or so years that you've done this, what are the repetitive results that you've seen? But also, what are some best practices that you could share with guys whose interest is now peaked?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, best practices in this particular thing, if you look at my first one, I just wrote down the AO, and what I've done is I've sort of modified it. So I write the AO, I write where we're meeting, and I write down the different times. So in our region, almost all the workouts start at 5:15. But we do have some, like the Honey Badger, that's an hour long. So that's 0500. And our Saturdays are, 6 at 6 is at 0600 and then 0630. So I write that stuff down so that anybody can look at it and say, I know where to go. And then if they look at the legend, they know what it's going to be. And then our Slack channel is so awesome. You know who the queue is going to be. So we have that automated in some bot or something like that. So I think the best practice is just not giving an excuse for someone to say, I didn't know where it was going to be, or I didn't know what time, because there's a couple of them that jump around, and we have a couple that are start at 0500. So, but yeah, those are the best practices. And I think the other thing is if you have a media outlet or whatever social media outlet like Slack, is to really be persistent. And like Italian Job said, after I work out, I give like a little story of what happened during that day. If someone did something funny, or if we're missing somebody. I know that, like, for instance, Beaker is having some shin splints because he's a brand new PAX member and he's running more miles now than he ever has. And so, just, tagging him saying, hey man, I hope you feel better. Or if someone doesn't post, just jab them just a little bit in public. just so that they come out the next time. And then the next thing I say, hey, this is where we're going to be tomorrow. And I take a little picture of hopefully my green circle to say that I was there, and the next couple of workouts so they can always see. And then every week, every Sunday, I think every Sunday night, I put a picture of the whole week of where we're going to be. So I think sort of maybe I over communicated. I don't really care, but I think that's something. If your region doesn't have Slack, I don't know if that's an F3 thing or if it's just the whatever, but man, Slack really works really well, especially if you have a comms team like our comms team. They're awesome. So
they are.
Yeah, that would be my best practice, is just really, really communicate it, talk about it a lot. And then in the COTs at the beginning of the month and leading up to it, I tell everybody about why we do this, is to meet new packs, to get new Q, go see new Qs, go to different AOs that you don't go to, because I'm pretty sure all of us go to the same 4 or 5 AOs every week. We see the same guys every week. So I just talk it up, and I'm not an original Redwood, but I've been around long enough, I guess. I used to not have so much gray hair when I started.
It's like holding down the commander in chief, those before and after pictures when they leave office, right? Yeah, I like the idea though. I like the idea of keeping the surprise so that you don't know until the day of. I mean, other than you having the keys to the kingdom, right? And you get to share that. So something to look forward to. I also appreciate, like you said, having an inward facing comms unit is great. Slack is a great tool. For public facing, it's nice to be able to let packs, for example, that are downrange know on Twitter, this is what's happening, this is the time, so on and so forth. But the other thing I really enjoy is that it rejuvenates anybody who feels like their F3 journey is getting stale. I would argue that as somebody who's been there myself, you're just not trying hard enough. And generally it's because you're doing the easy thing, AKA repeating each week where you post. Not that there's anything wrong with that, other than, again, if you find yourself in a slump, odds are if you post somewhere new and different, a little change of scenery changes everything. So I dig it.
Yeah.
IJ, go for it, man.
What I really like about it is I get to see some faces I haven't seen in quite some time. The results, what I've noticed is an AO that might have, gotten stale with 5 or 6 guys. I mean, Funhouse said it. I mean, some of these are turning 25 guys. I mean, that's a significant increase. Now, some of these places are already pulling 15 anyway, but they added 10 more. Or, tomorrow, an AO that might average 5 to 7 might get 20. So a significant increase. But also one of the best parts about this, it costs absolutely nothing. Sometimes we put together CSOPs and somebody's got to buy bananas, somebody's got to buy water, and we've got to have a communication plan. We've got to mark up the pavement, maybe make some signs. This is one of those things. There's no cost. There's no trophy. There's nothing but, pride that you did it. And your buddy's waiting on you and saying, I'm going to post more than you are. I'm going to go for 6 this week, because last week I did 4. I mean, it's just, you mentioned you eliminate the barriers by saying tomorrow we're posting at Chupacabra, Tinsel's on cue. It starts at 5:15. Let's roll. I mean, that's everything I need to know. If I only look at one message on the Slack channel, it's everything I need to know. And I can scroll and look for Funhouse. All right, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Here's a picture. Let's roll. So that low barrier, no barrier for all the guys to get into it. It's one of those things that, it's been around for a while that the guys are asking for it. Like you said, I mean, Barry Manilow and Anchorman in January, February, said, hey, Funhouse, are we going to make this thing happen here or not? So that's all.
Well, Funhouse, before we wrap up, any final thoughts, parting shots you want to throw out? This will drop Saturday at 0900. So if you have any trash to talk, now's a great time to do it.
No, I would just, we have this, it's an F3 thing, right? You're free to lead. And in lieu of like making something, making like a challenge just for yourself, man, it does make it a lot easier to bring the other guys with you. And for me, it's easier because if I didn't put that out there and no one knew where I was going to go, and I just said, oh, I'm going to go to Chupacabra tomorrow, and if I have a glass of wine tonight and I don't want to wake up in the morning, I wouldn't go, right? So I would say if you really want to challenge yourself, put it out there and try to figure out a way to make it fun or make it difficult and competitive or
stupid and pointless.
Yeah, stupid and pointless, because typically those are the things that'll get guys out. And actually, I mean, it gets me out. It gets me out tomorrow. We have some cues that are really on fire for it, like Tinsel. He is really on fire, and he's already cued. This will be I think his third cue during the month of AssKicking April, just because people like him to cue. He's a great cue, but like he's excited that he's been able to cue 3 times in AssKicking April, and every time kick our ass. I mean, brutal workouts. So, and that's a lot of fun too. So, and if anybody else in another region wants to hit me up, I mean, it's really simple. I don't know if everybody else has 30 AOs that they get to go to, and we're just really blessed in the fort to be able to be this prolific in our AOs and guys that lead those sites week after week, and our leadership. I mean, Double D's out there all the time. You know, Fish Sticks is out there. So we've got some really good leaders that are out there participating in it. So
that's great. I mean, I like that it celebrates kind of the history of the region. At some point, somewhere down the line, somebody had the idea to start a new AO, right? And they leaned into it. They were free to lead. And so this is kind of a little history lesson. It also exposes guys to things they may not do, like rucking or running, right? You never know. It could be somebody's first time doing a thing, and it could change their whole trajectory of how they're experiencing their first F, second F, third F. I dig it. Thanks for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Definitely. We'll drop this, like I said, Saturday at 0900. We'll link it up on Twitter, which is F3SWT. We've also got stuffworthtrying.com. Pax who are listening, heads up that in May, we're going to reboot stuffworthtrying.com with a whole new bunch of content. It'll be a little more easy to navigate, easy to find your way around. You know, as Italian Job and I always say, this isn't just us, it's the whole F3 nation. So if you've got something that's happening in your region that's lighting a fire somewhere in the first, second, third F, a life of servant leadership, let us know so that we can share it with the rest of the nation. That's how you can find us, is at F3SWT on Twitter is the best way to go about it. Italian Job, any firing, parting shots, firing shots, last thoughts?
Yeah, Tommy boy, first off, you're starting to sound like a professional the way you went through that. It's almost like you've done this 20 something times. So good job.
Yeah, it feels like it. Tens of times, brother.
And really appreciate you being on and talking us through this. It's a great thing. The challenge we're trying this week is, guys, just step out of your comfort zone, go across town, go work out with the group of guys you don't normally see very often. And if this is kind of spurring you to do something in your region, if you've got 10 AOs, if you've got 50 AOs, you know, just think of something and pull it together. All it takes is a thought and someone to write it down, and then let the guys know tomorrow this is where we're going to be, and then Saturday this is where we're going to be, and going through it. So Funhouse, great job on it, man. It's always cool to see the numbers and see some of the faces that we haven't seen in a while. Yeah. So thanks for leading this effort. Thanks for being on the phone or on this podcast with us. Tommy boy, hey, have a good weekend. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do. And if you do, record it so I can see it.
I'll take pictures. If it's not on Strava, it doesn't count.
I'll
be cheering from afar for you. Have a great time. Safe travels. Podpaxers, be good or be good at it.